Hello, welcome to my video. In this video, I will explain about the concept of array. We will discuss about what is array data type, and then the concept of one-dimensional array and multidimensional array, and then the last we will discuss about array of char. Note that to store a value with a certain data type, we use a variable. The format is data type, then the name of variable. For example, integer score, float GPA, and then integer score 1, score 2, score 3. So there are three variables that will be used to store integer data, score 1, score 2, and score 3. With less amount of data, for example 10, maybe this method still can be used. But it becomes less effective if the amount of data to be entered is larger, or the amount of data is dynamic, or the exact amount of data is unknown. So to overcome these problems, we can use array as a solution. An array can be thought as a variable that can store more than one value with the same data type. The function of the array is storing a series of elements which has the same data type and index that can be accessed directly and randomly. To declare an array, the format is data type and then the name of the array and then the number of elements. We also can declare and initialize an array using one statement, and the format is data type, then the name of the array followed by the number of elements, and then equal sign, and then we specify the element of data in curly brackets. For example, if we have score data which contains 6 elements or 6 values, we can declare the sequence of the value using integer score and then bracket 6. We can also declare and initialize an array in one statement using integer score 6 and then equal sign and then curly brackets, and we specify the contents of the data inside the curly brackets. Next, we will discuss how to access data in array. And this is the example of the previous array. Accessing array means that we can perform operation on each element of the dataset or array individually. Data in array is called as element, which is indicated by an index on each element, so we can access it directly and randomly. Note that the order of elements in array always start from 0. So this is score 0, score 1, score 2, and so on. So if we create an array with 6 elements, then index 0 is used to fill in the value of the first element. And the format of accessing array is defined as name of array and then index. For example, to store the second value, that is 90, from this data, it can be written in the following form: core 1 and then equals 90. You must know that there are two types of array. First is one-dimensional array and then the second is multidimensional array. We have discussed regarding one-dimensional array before. Next, we will discuss about multidimensional array. The multidimensional array can be reversed as a matrix. Matrix is an array that has two or more columns with many rows or two or more rows with many columns. In short, a matrix is an array that is inside another array, and it depending on how it is used. Okay, to declare a matrix, the syntax is data type and then name of the matrix, then bracket for row elements and bracket for columns elements. We can declare and initialize a matrix using one statement, and the format is data type, then the name of the matrix, followed by the number of rows and columns, and then equals send, and then we specify the elements of the data in curly brackets. There are curly brackets inside another curly bracket, so each curly bracket specifies the element for each rows. For example, if we have a matrix with the number of rows and columns are 2, we can use this statement to declare this matrix integer score and then 2. It means that this matrix have the number of rows and columns are 2. And if you want to declare and initialize this matrix, we can use this statement. Integer score 2, this is the element of rows and columns, and then equals send, and then specify the elements of the matrix. Next, to access the matrix, almost same as before, we need to declare the index of the row and column elements. For example, to store value in the second row and third column, it can be written as score 1, 2. This is the index of second row and third column. And then equals sign and then 75. This is the value. Next, we will discuss about array of char. That is an array that stores data with type char. In C++, data type can be obtained by defining an array of char which ends with the null character. Essentially, string is a collection of variables with type char. The operation of an array of char is more special because there are several functions that can be used to directly manipulate this array. While on array of non-char, there is no function to manipulate the data. Function for an array of char is stored in file or library include string.h or csstring. And this is the example of program using array of char. In this program, there are two arrays. Word1 which contains the character A, L, P, H, A, B, E, and T. And the second array is word2. This is an empty array. And the first for looping function, it used to display the contents of the array word1 from index 0 until the index is less than 8. It means that the index is 7. And then the value of E will increase one by one. And this is your word1 I. It used to display the character in word1 by this index. Okay, and then the second for looping function from I is 0 until I is less than 4. It means that it is 3 and the value of A increase one by one. And then char data type is kind of to an integer data type because the char data type is filled by the SG characters which encode with an integer number from 0 until 127. And the array of word for each index is filled with A plus I, and character A has SG code is 65, so the 0 index will be filled with the character A. It means that the SG code 65 plus 0, so it will be filled with the character that have the SG code is 65, that is A. And then the next index is filled with SG code of 65 plus 1, so it becomes 66, and that is B, and so on. So the output of the second for looping function is ABCD. Now this is the result of the output. For the first looping function, the output is alphabet, and then for the second looping function, the output is ABCD. Okay, next we will look at some of the function in the string_h.library. There are 7 functions. It is the most widely used for manipulate string. First is string copy, and the parameter is destination and source. It used to copy word from the source to the destination. And the second function is strncopy. The parameter is destination, source, and end. strncopy is used to copy n characters of word from the source to the destination. So we just choose n characters from the source. And the next function is strcat, and the parameter is destination and source. It used to add string from source to destination at the end position. Okay, and then strncat, the parameter is destination, source, and end. It used to add n characters of string from source to destination at the end position. And the next is strncmp, and the parameter is s1, s2. It used to compare string s1 with string s2. And then strncmp, the parameter is s1, s2, and then n. It used to compare n characters of string s1 with string s2. And the last is strlen function. The parameter is s, and it used to show the length of string s. Then I will show you the sample program. In this program, there are two arrays. First is word1, which contains character A, L, V, H, A, B, E, and T. And the second array is word2. This is an empty array with length of 4 elements. In the previous example, the first output is the string alphabet by print each element using for looping function. For easier, we can use cout word1 to display the characters in the word1 array. And this is the result. We can display alphabet. And then in here we use strcopy function. This is one of the function in string.h, and it used to copy word from the source to the destination. The source is ABCD and the destination is word2. So we will copy ABCD to word2. So when we run this code, the ABCD string will appear in the output. Sometimes we may require a program to input from the user in the form of characters. And this is a sample program using input from the user. To input the characters, we can use the same command as when we input integer or float data. We can use cin. And in this program, there are two arrays. Word1, which is an empty array with length of 6 elements, and word2 is an empty array with length of 15 elements. And then the user asks to insert a word with length of 6 characters into the word1. And for example, the user input a word that the length is more than 6 characters, for example, input database, and then this word can still be stored in the word1. And to access word1, which is an array, we can remove the index. So just cout word1. C++ provides special facilities for arrays of char, and this is to make it easier for programmers to use the string data type. Access by removing the array index, we can get all the characters that store in the array. So in C++, each array of char that we created is automatically added null character, which means the end sign of the string. And this null character marks the end of the string from word1. Therefore, if cout is done, then C++ will display the contents of the array while looping word1 until a null character is found. That way, the array index when accessing array of char can be removed, because the reference is to the null character. So when we insert a word, for example database, in the word1, we can see the output is database. And the next command is used to be able to copy the contents from word1 to word2 using the strncopy. This command copies the contents of only 4 characters in the word1 array to the word2 array. Then display the contents using cout. So we will get the result is data. And then the next line, we use strncmp is used to compare word1 array and word2 array. However, the comparison is only limited to 4 characters. And if the value of word 1 and word 2 is same, the result is 0, but if the value is not same, the result is 1. In here, because the 4 characters of word 1 and word 2 is same, so the result is a value of 0, which means true. And the next line is used to print the length of word 1 using strlen function. It is displayed the set of the word 1 array that is 8 characters. Okay, we have discussed what an array is and how to access it for one-dimensional array, multidimensional array, and array of char. I think enough for our discussion regarding the array. Thank you for watching this video and see you in the next discussion.